Your AccuWeather.com forecast will have sun and some clouds with a high of 92 today. Mainly clear, low 72 tonight. Partly sunny, high 91 tomorrow. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm Heather Zaire.
Good morning. It's 3 past 6. Robert and Erin, 1017 FM and 710 Keel. Erin has local news. Hang on. She looks ready.
Two fatal shootings in Shreveport. We'll tell you more about that. And some good news for the El Compadre family today.
So, is it time to start looking for a new coach? See, the thing about this weekend is you don't know which team I mean. Plus, Fletcher has sports, traffic, and weather, and it's all this hour, and it's right here on Keel.
KEEL Morning Report. Now on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Police investigating an early morning stabbing. It happened on Marshall Street near Highland at about 2:30 this morning. A man driving in the area was waved down by a man wearing no shirt. When he pulled over to help, the man stabbed him. The victim is expected to recover. Police are on the hunt for a gunman in Bossier. Matt Parker has that.
Bossier City Police are investigating a shooting that left one man dead behind the Village Square East townhomes on Village Lane. An employee of a business in the area heard multiple gunshots around 9 p.m. Sunday night and called police. When officers arrived on the scene, they found the victim shot dead in a parking lot. Police are still searching for suspects. If you have any information, call Bossier Crime Stoppers at 424-4100. From 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, I'm Matt Parker.
A man shot Friday night in Shreveport has died from his wounds. Chancell Bradford and another man were shot several times by someone with a high-powered rifle outside a home on East Washington. Police say the two victims were involved in an argument with an unknown person shortly before the shooting. Chancell died from his wounds. The other victim expected to survive and make a full recovery. Good news for the El Compadre family today. After being shot trying to protect his mom during a robbery in July, Juan Zuniga has been released from University Health. His sister and co-manager of El Compadre in Shreveport posted on Facebook that Juan has been transferred to the Promise Hospital to begin rehab. Juan was shot twice in the chest during the incident and had to have his right lung removed due to that wound. The median household income in Louisiana down by over 2%, the largest decrease in the nation, according to census numbers. LSU economist Dr. Lauren Scott says this decrease is a result of the struggling oil and gas industry. He says we have three metro areas that are in a recession: Houma, Lafayette, and Shreveport.
That previous 20 months, we lost almost 25,000 jobs. So it was a tough period, especially if you were in one of those oil patches.
Speaking of the oil patch, in case you haven't noticed, we're paying about 50 cents more a gallon today than before Hurricane Harvey. Attorney General Jeff Landry telling KEEL News it could have been much worse.
If President Trump, through his EPA administrator, would not have enacted some of the policies and granted some of the waivers that we saw put in place, the gasoline jump in price would have been greater than that.
Landry says the hurricane impacted about 30% of consumption across the U.S. Baton Rouge police believe the killings of two black men were racially motivated. Police say in both shootings last week, the suspect fired from his car, walked up to the victims as they were lying on the ground, and fired again. Police believe a 23-year-old white man who's in custody on drug charges is the suspect. St. Louis police have arrested dozens of people as protests over the acquittal of a white former police officer charged with killing a black suspect turned from nonviolent demonstrations to vandalism for the third consecutive night. For the fourth consecutive year, the Saints have started 0-2 as they dropped a 36-20 decision to the Patriots. Quarterback Tom Brady scorched the Saints defense for 447 yards and 3 TDs. On offense, the Saints converted just 33% of their third down opportunities.
We've got to get better, and not just on defense. Like I said, we've got to be better offensively. We're not turning the ball over, but we're not creating any turnovers either. Obviously, we didn't do enough good things today to give us a chance.
Cowboys also lost their game last night. The new drama, This Is Us, may have won the hearts of viewers and spawned its share of tissue sales in its rookie season, but it didn't win an Emmy for Best Drama. That honor goes to The Handmaid's Tale. The show was one of the big winners on the night. Partly cloudy, we will have sunshine today, high 92. Right now it's 72. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Good morning. It's 9 past 6 o'clock, 1017 FM, 710 Keel. Traffic update. First one of the day. First one of the week. Here's Ruben.
Looks like I-49 South's got it clear all the way to Alexandria right now, but look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on I-220 eastbound near North Market due to construction. If you have anything to report to us, accidents, hazards, or closures, give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Very warm today. Sun and some clouds. High 92. Mainly clear. Low 72 tonight. Partly sunny. High 91 tomorrow. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm Heather Zaire.
Here, because this is the question of to remove.
The goal right now is to work out the problems. BRF has received a notice of breach. They have not.
Good morning. It's 12 past 6 o'clock. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty, 1017 FM and 710 Keel. We'll get to LSU. We'll get to the Saints. We'll get we'll get to the what?
I don't even want to get to any of it.
We'll get to LSU. We'll get to the Saints. We'll get to the Cowboys just a bit later. We don't have time right now. You want to replay Jay Darden?
Yeah, Jay Darden was pretty exceptional.
Now we're talking about.
Ticked a lot of people off, though.
Well, that's not what you said. What she said was, we need to replay Jay Darden. It pissed a lot of people off. Why? What for? And who said something to you?
I can't name names, but I'm just going to say a lot of people were not happy with some of the things he said.
Well, like what?
His justification for why New Orleans gets so much more money. They didn't understand. He was kind of weaving around that, and I didn't understand what he was saying. Did you? Why New Orleans gets twice as much money per patient as we.
We only get 32 cents on the dollar for every dollar that the New Orleans Charity Hospital receives in funding. We get 32 cents because basically we have more what's called patient hours, and get markedly less cash from the state.
Yeah.
And yet he denies. Well, you'll hear it, and he says, no.
Here's how it works. And I don't get it.
That doesn't mean that we're out to completely choke off your hospital in Northwest Louisiana. Well, let's start because, let's see. John Bell and the Edwards administration, they haven't fired biomedical research.
No.
They just, what is it like? They're on notice.
Yeah,
they're on double turbo super probation.
That's kind of it.
It's like Animal House of
it's Lambakai
with white
whatever
coats.
it is. Yeah.
I felt a thigh. Okay, so we started off with Commissioner of Administration for Louisiana, Jay Darden. And the first question was, so does John Bell, does Governor Edwards want to fix this deal with BRF, or does he want them booted?
The goal right now is to work out the problems. BRF has received a notice of breach. They have not received a notice of terminating the agreement. We're complying with the language of our agreement, which requires a notice of breach. That is saying, here are the things that are not being done that we think need to be done in accordance with the agreement. There's a 45-day period to cure those
breaches, and we're in that 45-day period. And our hope is that we're going to be able to bring in another partner. This was the request of BRF. BRF asked the governor to work with them to bring in another partner to manage the hospital, and we're in the process of doing that right now. And during this 45-day period, those discussions will be taking place, and they're starting now.
And that other partner would be Ochsner? Is that the direction we're moving?
Ochsner is the partner that's the meetings are being held with right now. That's right. That's who BRF asked that we deal with, and Ochsner has agreed to sit down and see if it's something that they believe is financially viable from a business standpoint.
Are other partners possible? Is a Willis Knighton a possibility?
No, Willis Knighton is not a possibility. We've said that repeatedly, and I want to say it again today. That is not a possibility. The other thing that is not a possibility, and I was in Shreveport yesterday with the governor, and I want to make this perfectly clear, and we've said this repeatedly. The goal of this administration is to keep the medical school in Shreveport. There is no intent whatsoever to move it out of Shreveport, to move it to Baton Rouge, or anything like that. Our goal is to make the medical school in Shreveport the greatest medical school it can possibly be, and to maintain the safety net hospital to serve the people of Northwest Louisiana in Shreveport, as well as with EA Conway and Monroe, which is running very smoothly and it has no complaints.
So to follow up on that, if there were, say, theoretically, one or two politicians from our part of the state who may have thought out loud that there actually was a, to use their words, plot to get our medical school, you reject that outright?
Absolutely. They're grossly misinformed or either intentionally lying to the people of your community.
Let's talk about the dollars and cents, because State Representative Cedric Glover told us earlier this week that New Orleans and others in South Louisiana, they get the ribs, they get the steaks, they get the prime cuts off the hog, and we get the jowls and the guts. We don't get the prime pickings in terms of dollars. Your reaction to that?
Well, that's just not correct, and there's a great deal of misinformation being put out there regarding the relative amount of compensation being paid to BRF and being paid to University Medical in New Orleans, or to Children's Hospital in New Orleans, which is our partner in the New Orleans area. But the New Orleans arrangement works as it should with a number of other hospitals being involved in medical training. The numbers that have been put out only deal with Children's Hospital's location. It doesn't include West Jeff, Touro, other hospitals in New Orleans that are also involved in medical training. And when you add those numbers in, they're considerably larger than what information has been put out. As a matter of fact, we are in the process of renegotiating memoranda of understanding with all of our partners. We have cooperative endeavor agreements. That's a legal contract with the partners in the state, and we've renegotiated those through memoranda of understanding. The one last year lasted 1 year. It expired on June 30th. We're dealing with new MOUs with our partners. We have agreements with most of them. We still have several that have not been completed yet, including BRF. BRF in this new proposed MOU is being favored more than any other partner hospital in terms of the amount of compensation they're getting relative to what they've gotten in the past. We have serious money problems in the state, as I hope everyone knows, and we're facing this fiscal cliff beginning July 1 of next year. And we're very cautious in the amount of money we're committing to our partners. We want to be realistic about it, but BRF is receiving the best possible financial deal of any of our partners, and we've not been able to reach an agreement on that amount or that MOU that we proposed, which incidentally was centered around bringing in a partner at BRF's request to manage the hospital.
So pardon me, Mr. J. So when you see numbers like University Health, 135,000 inpatient days, $241 million in funding, University Medical Center in New Orleans, only 72,000 inpatient days, but $410+ million funding, explain to me how that's misleading.
It is misleading because it's incorrect. The arrangement in New Orleans includes multiple hospitals. I'm looking at the numbers right now. The inpatient days for University Health in New Orleans is 197,773 inpatient days. Outpatient visits are 606,029. Emergency room visits are 166,662. Those are different numbers that have been put out, unfortunately, by BRF or whoever else is putting out these comparative numbers, and in an unfortunate attempt to try and both convince the people in Northwest Louisiana that somehow they're being discriminated against. And, of course, it's the legislature that's responsible for appropriating dollars anyway.
Jay Darden is the Commissioner of Administration. Let me ask you this, and I don't know if it's an easy answer. If you had to tell us and our listeners a simple, this is complicated for the most folks. What is BRF doing wrong? What do they need to fix now?
It's very complicated. In fact, there's a 13-page letter that has been sent to BRF that outlines the deficiencies and provides, as is required, a list of remedies that's to be provided. And so it's a very extensive list. I can't go through all of it now, but for example, one of the primary ones is to pay its bills. There are creditors that are owed money, and LSU is owed money by BRF in accordance with the MOU that they signed last year, money that had been provided by the state for the express purpose of making those payments to LSU, and those payments have not been made. That's an example that they've got to become current on the money that is owed to LSU and the money that is owed to various creditors.
Is any deal down the line between BRF and conceivably Ochsner or anyone else, does that have to go through Governor Edwards' office, your office, for approval?
Well, it does. We're a party to the contract. I'm the signatory on the contract on behalf of the state of Louisiana. The agreement is between LSU, which is an entity of the state, and the Division of Administration, which is the entity of the state representing the state as a whole, and BRF as the partner hospital. So, yes, we have to sign off on the agreement as well.
Can you envision a deal that would be between BRF and Ochsner or anyone else that the Edwards administration wouldn't sign off on?
No, we're working toward that very thing. Our hope is that we're going to be able to reach an agreement that everybody involved is comfortable in signing off on. That's our goal. That's our objective, and that's what we hope happens. And we're proceeding in good faith along those lines during this 45-day period that's required by the CEA.
Jay, let me ask you that. I'm sorry I call you Jay. I apologize.
It's okay. You can call me Jay.
Senator Tarver has told us he would like to see it go back to where the med school runs the hospital. Are we ever going to see that, or are we going to always be privatized?
Well, I think we're going to have a private partner involved in managing the hospital. I mean, that die has been cast. The state moved away from the old charity hospital system under the Jindal administration, entered into these agreements, most of which are very complex and in many cases, in my view, not particularly advantageous to the state, but nonetheless, we've shut down the old charity hospital system. The employees have been transitioned to the new private partner hospitals, and I think that's the way this is going to proceed going forward. And our mission right now is to try and identify a new partner that can come in and work with LSU and work with the state to make the medical school the best it can possibly be, and to make sure that safety net hospital is providing quality treatment to the people of Northwest Louisiana. And this is another one of the issues that is in discussion right now, is the level of quality and the measures of quality that are going to be provided.
Okay, Jay, you said this was a breach of contract. It was not a cancellation. At what time frame do we get to a cancellation? What do you need to see? How soon before this is a not workable deal?
Well, the agreement contemplates 45 days, and we're in that 45-day period right now where the parties are going to be negotiating. We, in good faith, we certainly are in good faith to try and reach a resolution here, and that's what's contemplated by the notice of breach. It basically says these are the things that are not being done that need to be done, and they need to be corrected. And in addition to those things that are outlined, the negotiation for a new partner is now really front and center in these discussions, because that's what BRF asked the governor for. They asked him to try and identify Ochsner as somebody who would come in and work to manage the hospital, and that's what the governor has done.
101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. Monday morning traffic. Here's Ruben.
Looks like I-49 South's got to clear all the way to Alexandria right now, but look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on I-220 eastbound near North Market due to construction. If you have anything to report to us, accidents, hazards, or closures, give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline, 687 Road.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Very warm today. Sun and some clouds. High 92. Mainly clear. Low 72 tonight. Partly sunny. High 91 tomorrow. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm Heather Zaire.
Ribs, they get the steaks, they get the prime cut.
Two politicians from our part of the state who had plot to get our.
Absolutely. They're grossly misinformed or either intentionally lying to the people of your community.
Let's talk about the dollar.
Twenty-five past 6 o'clock, 101.7 FM and 710 Keel. Time for sports.
Good morning from the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger. This is Tim Fletcher. Dak Prescott had his roughest outing in the NFL. Ezekiel Elliott was held to 8 yards on 9 carries, and the Denver Broncos routed Dallas 42-17 Sunday. Trevor Siemian torched the Cowboys for 4 touchdowns to fuel the Broncos' 6th straight win over the Cowboys. Prescott was picked off twice, including an insult-to-injury 103-yard pick six by Aqib Talib. The Houghton alum tossed a pair of touchdowns that were canceled out by 2 picks. The Saints were blown away by Tom Brady and the Patriots, 36-20 in a game that was well in hand by halftime. Brady joined Warren Moon as the only 40-year or older quarterback to throw for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns in a game. He finished with 447 yards and 3 scores, all of those touchdowns in the first quarter. Drew Brees threw 2 touchdowns and accumulated 356 yards. The Saints running back game was non-existent for the second straight time, with just 81 yards on the ground. New Orleans defense is the worst in the league through 2 games, giving up on average 512 yards per outing after the Pats rolled up 555 yards in the Dome Sunday afternoon. And last night, Atlanta looked much sharper than they did in their season-opening escape in Chicago. They blew out Green Bay. Look out for the Dirty Birds again. From the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger, this is Tim Fletcher.
Kubota's Orange
The safety.
To use their words, plot to get our medical school. You were politicians from our part of the state who may have thought out loud that politicians from our part of the state who had. So to follow up on that, if there were, say, theoretically,
Absolutely. They're grossly misinformed or.
Let's talk about.
Well, absolutely. They're grossly misinformed or either intentionally lying to the people of your community.
Twenty-seven past 6 o'clock. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty, 101.7 FM and 710 Keel. Lots of time this morning to talk about LSU.
Let's not.
What?
That was so. That was one of the most depressing games I have ever watched.
Really?
Ever.
I mean, I get your point, but suddenly Coach O isn't the guy. Is that what you're thinking? I mean, if you look at social media, they're the Les Miles, miss me yet. Hold on. What was the one I saw on Facebook late Saturday? Because I got home from the hockey game and it was I know it was the same thing that all the LSU fans used to say when Les was the coach. we've got the best athletes in America. There's no excuse for us ever to lose.
Yeah.
It's bad coaching.
Yeah.
It's bad coaching.
We got pounded at the line of scrimmage.
Maybe
Just
you need
pounded.
better. Maybe LSU needs better players.
And all I could think the whole game was DBU. Nuh-uh. DB who? We could not. I mean, they were dreadful back there.
I asked you a week ago after they played, what was it, Chattanooga. And I said,
powerhouse.
Is Danny Etling, look at you now. You were so psyched. I said to you last week, I said, is Danny Etling the quarterback that can lead this team past Alabama? And you said, I'm starting to think he is.
I had high hopes.
Hold the thought.
Now I'm in the gutter. We're going to hear from Danny here in the news.
We'll come back to this in a second. 29 past 6, 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. Traffic update. Here's Ruben.
Everything's still running nice and smooth for your early morning drive to work or school, but look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on Airline Drive near Old Minden Road in Bossier City. If you have any accidents, hazards, or closures to report to us, give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Very warm today. Sun and some clouds. High 92. Mainly clear. Low 72 tonight. Partly sunny. High 91 tomorrow. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm Heather Zayer.
The power of information. KEEL News now.
The governor's been working on a plan to keep BRF in control of University Health, but some say the state is not fair with the local hospital and want to know why Shreveport gets fewer dollars per patient than New Orleans.
The New Orleans arrangement works as it should with a number of other hospitals being involved in medical training. The numbers that have been put out only deal with Children's Hospital's location. It doesn't include West Jeff, Touro, other hospitals in New Orleans that are also involved in medical training. And when you add those numbers in, they're considerably larger than what information has been put out.
Administration Commissioner Jay Darden. Bossier police investigating a shooting that left one man dead. It happened behind the Village Square East townhomes on Village Lane. Shreveport police investigating a murder. Matt Parker with that.
A man shot Friday night in Shreveport has died from his wounds. Chancel Bradford and another man were shot multiple times by a high-powered rifle outside a home in the 1100 block of East Washington Street. Police say the two victims were involved in an argument with an unknown person shortly before the shooting. Chancel died from his injuries. The other victim is expected to survive and make a full recovery. From 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, I'm Matt Parker.
After being shot trying to protect his mom during a robbery in July, Juan Zuniga has been released from University Health. His sister and co-manager of El Compadre posted on Facebook that Juan's been transferred to the Promise Hospital to begin rehab. Juan was shot twice in the chest during the incident, had to have his right lung removed due to his wounds. President Trump plunging into a foreign policy-focused week that will be anchored by his first address to the UN General Assembly. But before the highly anticipated speech, the president will first tackle the issue of overhauling the UN. You're paying about 50 cents more at the pump today than we were before Hurricane Harvey. Attorney General Jeff Landry.
The hurricane impacted about 30% of that consumption. So immediately 3 million barrels of gasoline was taken off of the market.
Landry says the price hike is a reflection of the impact of the storm on refineries along the Gulf Coast. A strengthening Hurricane Maria swirling toward the eastern Caribbean, with forecasters warning it will probably be a major storm by the time it passes through the already battered Leeward Islands late today. Tell the Truth Monday will not be kind for the LSU Tigers after they were embarrassed 37-7 by Mississippi State. The Tigers were beat at the line of scrimmage, the defense had blown assignments, and LSU also committed 9 penalties. Quarterback Danny Etling is bothered by the high number of penalties.
I feel like we really beat ourselves out there, and they took great advantage of every mistake we made. And but we didn't turn the ball over. We were being smart with it and making sure that we put ourselves in good positions. It just we couldn't overcome the penalties. You can't overcome shooting yourself in the foot.
Next up for the Tigers, back at home against Syracuse. HBO's Big Little Lies walks away with the award for Outstanding Limited Series at the 69th Annual Emmy Awards. Lead actresses of the series, Reese Witherspoon and Nicole Kidman, were joined on stage by the cast and crew to accept the honor.
Thank you to the people that embrace this, the power of television. It has astounded us that we entered into your living rooms and people talked about it. And as much as the show had the entertainment value, it was also about issues. We are so grateful that you told your friends to watch the show. You can still watch it.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus, again comedy queen of the Emmys. She won her 6th straight Emmy as star of Veep, in which she plays a clueless politician. Partly cloudy today with a high temp close to about 92 degrees. Right now, 72. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Good morning, 637. Robert and Erin, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Back to LSU football just a couple of seconds away. Political analyst Scott Hughes joins us just after 7 o'clock. What do you think, with a mayoral race just about a year away, what do you think will be, if any, the political fallout from the last couple or 3 weeks with all the arena talk?
I'm not really sure the political fallout. If we have to find out, are we going to follow up? Is corporate realty, or are we going to follow up? Is that a dead deal? Is it a possible keeper of a deal? Or the Pelicans, is it a dead deal?
But what will be the political fallout, positive or negative, for anyone who might choose to run for mayor next fall?
Well, obviously you run a campaign against taxes, and you say that the current mayor has been pushing these taxes, ABC, whatever they are, including that garbage tax, if you remember, that was defeated, including the revenue bond, which would be, it's not higher taxes, but it's using public money.
Do you think in the long run that Mayor Tyler will be because we can talk with Mr. Scott about this just after 7, will Mayor Tyler be hurt at all by this defeat? And would she have been more damaged or a bigger target, if you will, for her opponents if it had actually passed?
Ooh. That would have revved up those naysayers a lot. They would have,
in other words, right now,
they feel like they won.
With the measure having been defeated, there are no consequences for Miss Ollie's what she can call my vision.
Mm-hmm.
She can just say, I had this great idea, and they beat it. There's nothing substantial. They're not going to break ground. There's nothing that her opponents can point to and say, look at the boondoggle this is going to be.
Right.
Where she could run on, this is going to be awesome.
Sure. She to be honest with you, and I know her fairly well, and I'm not putting words in her mouth. I hope she would tell you that. I don't think she's too much worried about a political fallout. I really don't.
If she's running for re-election, she is concerned about political fallout.
Nah.
If she is running for re-election and at no point...
She says, she will tell you point blank, she wants to do what's best for the city, political fallout or not.
So at no point in any of this do you think that that they had a meeting at the mayor's office or somewhere and said, if this succeeds... here's what people are going to say when they run against you next fall. If this fails, here's what people are going to say if they run against you next fall, and we need to make a plan.
There may be people in her circle who've said that, but I don't think it impacts her.
639, 101.7 FM, 710 Keel traffic update now. Here's Ruben.
Everything's still running nice and smooth for your early morning drive to work or school, but look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on Airline Drive near Old Minden Road in Bossier City. If you have any accidents, hazards, or closures to report to us, give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Very warm today. Sun and some clouds. High 92. Mainly clear. Low 72 tonight. Partly sunny. High 91 tomorrow. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm Heather Zayer.
Wasn't that long ago. You think you'd be closer with those dance moves.
Oh, yeah.
101.7 FM and 710 Keel. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty. The Shreveport Security Systems text line is 318-392-1884.
I hate these Mondays when you come in and the LSU Tigers have lost, the Saints have lost, and the Cowboys have lost.
Did I hear?
Oh.
And I had, like, I was coming in and out of the room during your 6:30 newscast. Did I hear that Danny Etling cut correctly? Did he actually say? Did he really, really, really say, we beat ourselves?
Yeah. Well, he was just talking about the penalties. That we have to clean up the penalties.
If you lose 37-7.
Yeah.
How do you say we beat ourselves?
No, you got a butt spanking. Bend over the sofa, Danny. Mama's going to spank your booty.
Settle down there, 50 Shades of McCarty.
Yeah.
So you think that is as outrageously misplaced a statement as do I. Well, if it hadn't been for a couple of brain farts,
right,
we'd have whipped those Bulldogs from Mississippi State.
We did have 2 touchdowns taken away. I mean, truth be known, one of them legit.
So now it's 37-21.
Yeah, you still bend over the sofa, Mr. Danny, and take your butt
So tell
spanking.
me what went wrong. I didn't. I had
the defense folded. The defense folded. Mississippi State just really had a game plan that was targeted right at where they thought our weaknesses were.
So this
and they
Dave
kept
Aranda
going.
guy, is he not a genius anymore?
I'm not convinced. That defense was.
If you look on Facebook this weekend, the experts, those professional football analysts that inhabit social media. We have the same refrain from the Les Miles days. We've got the best athletes at LSU. When we lose, it's bad coaching.
Yeah. I know you're going to think I'm crazy, but I did at about 6 o'clock.
What?
I texted Coach O.
I beg your pardon?
I texted Coach O at about 6 o'clock.
When? This morning?
This morning. And for some reason, he hadn't gotten back to me yet.
Can't believe that.
And so I'm still waiting.
Wait, what was it a text? Was it a text that that one would normally respond to, i.e., was it a question, or was it basically a statement of...
No, it wasn't a "you suck" text.
Read it to us.
I'm just wanting to know if there's any chance you'd have some time this morning.
What are you going to ask? Let's say, out of the blue, Ed Orgeron picks up the phone.
Yeah. Oh, I got a zillion questions.
Number one
is, what happened to your defense? It absolutely didn't show up. Where were they? What do you do now? It's like you get into the SEC, and this is the cream puff of the SEC. You got Florida and Bama coming up, baby. What are you going to do? The penalties, it looked like an undisciplined team. It looked like a team that was out Friday night smoking weed.
It looked like a Les Miles coach team.
Worse. Did I just say that out loud?
So just hang on a second. So if you have a 10-year-old young man and he is incorrigible, he just doesn't behave, he doesn't study, he doesn't pay attention, he doesn't mind, as my Nana used to say. And you take him from house A and put him in house B, and he's exactly the same. Are you going to blame the kid, or are you going to blame the adults in both houses?
The adults have to help fix the kid. You have to try new techniques. You have to bring in new alternatives.
Isn't that what you have?
He's the adult. He needs to try new methods.
Just give me this. They played last night. And bluntly put, earlier in the season, it's not like they just were over. It's not like they looked like Alabama in beating Chattanooga. Fair enough?
Yeah.
It's not like they just mowed over them and were playing the Water Boys and the Engineering Club after the first period. So I ask you again, at what point do you say, maybe it's not the coaches. Maybe it's not the coordinators.
No.
Maybe it's the athletes you have.
No, we have great athletes. You hear everybody say LSU's got the cream of the crop.
Evidently you don't.
You do. You're just not coaching them upright.
So Les Miles was a bad coach, and now Ed Orgeron is a bad coach, and Matt Canada is a bad offensive coordinator.
Do you not think Nick Saban or somebody else could have done better with these guys?
But there's only one Nick Saban. You don't get Nick Saban.
Pick a few others. I don't care.
Pick one. So now you're unhappy with Ed Orgeron. You think they picked the wrong guy.
No, I'm not saying that yet.
Wait. You just said that.
I'm just saying whatever method you were using, it needs tweaking.
Athletic director Erin McCarty wants heads to roll.
Oh, man. I have never been so embarrassed by, if I had been at Mississippi State at Starkville.
As an LSU fan since your childhood.
Oh.
You have never, ever, ever felt as bad.
I don't think so.
About a loss as you do about this previous Saturday night.
The Alabama game in New Orleans was
the championship game.
Yeah, I was pretty bummed about that. But that was a close game at least.
So how much more rope do you give Coach Orgeron?
Wow.
Okay, he's lost, 3 games in...
Robert, this is not a loss. This is a butt shellacking. Do you shellac butts? Anyway.
Great band name, the Butt Shellackers.
If you don't, you just got your butt shellacked. You got your hiney wiped with sandpaper, and it hurts, and it hurts deep. And if you've ever had your butt wiped with sandpaper,
Missed that class.
oh my, there's almost no coming back from it.
So you think the season's over to you?
Yeah. Did I just say that out loud?
Yeah, well.
How do you beat Alabama? How do you beat Florida in what, 3 weeks? With the guys that were on that field. How? So that's at least 3 losses.
So now you're blaming the players.
Now Arkansas, you got A&M.
She's blaming anyone that will listen.
Anybody within a 100-mile radius of Baton Rouge who is associated with that program.
If I'm Coach O and I come out to my news conference today, I know I'm running y'all into this, so
we got
I'm
10
sorry.
seconds, so go ahead.
I'm embarrassed. That sucked. We're much better than that.
649, 101.7 FM and 710 Keel. It is time for Your Money Now. It is 6:52, 101.7 FM and 710 Keel. Sports.
Good morning from the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger. This is Tim Fletcher. Dak Prescott had his roughest outing in the NFL. Ezekiel Elliott was held to 8 yards on 9 carries, and the Denver Broncos routed Dallas 42-17 Sunday. Trevor Siemian torched the Cowboys for 4 touchdowns to fuel the Broncos' 6th straight win over the Cowboys. Prescott was picked off twice, including an insult to injury 103-yard pick six by Aqib Talib. The Houghton alum tossed a pair of touchdowns that were canceled out by 2 picks. The Saints were blown away by Tom Brady and the Patriots 36-20 in a game that was well in hand by halftime. Brady joined Warren Moon as the only 40-year or older quarterback to throw for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns in a game. He finished with 447 yards and 3 scores, all of those touchdowns in the first quarter. Drew Brees threw 2 touchdowns and accumulated 356 yards. The Saints running back game was non-existent for the second straight time, with just 81 yards on the ground. New Orleans defense is the worst in the league through 2 games, giving up on average 512 yards per outing after the Pats rolled up 555 yards in the Dome Sunday afternoon. And last night, Atlanta looked much sharper than they did in their season-opening escape in Chicago. They blew out Green Bay. Look out for the Dirty Birds again. From the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger, this is Tim Fletcher.
Good morning, 655. Robert and Erin, it's 1017 FM, 710 Keel. What awards were on last night?
The Emmy Awards.
That what did it win? Best show, best drama?
Best.
It was Big Lies, Big
Little Lies. It's a good little show.
What's that about?
It's an all-female cast. Reese Witherspoon, Nicole Kidman.
Yeah. Shailene Woodley.
Yeah, it's a really good show.
What's it about?
It's about women who are raising children in this suburban community,
Like Los Angeles.
but they all get kind of tangled up
And they're
into.
outrageously rich.
So some of them are
immersed
some of
in
them
reality.
are.
Yeah.
And it ends in a murder, and
Just like in your neighborhood.
it's a pretty cool little show.
Is it?
It really
Is it?
is. And it's based on a book, but everybody's waiting for, are they going to do a season 2? And I saw Reese Witherspoon say the other day, well, if they write another book. But I'm like, I want season 2.
656, here comes Rush on Keel.
You remember 8 years ago, teachers across the country made their students sing songs praising a new president. The lyrics went like this: Barack Hussein Obama. And for all your great accomplishments, we all do say hooray. Hooray, Mr. President, you are number one. Well, teachers aren't teaching those songs anymore. There's no hoorays in schools these days when it comes to the president. Lily Eskelsen Garcia, president of the National Education Association, says that Donald Trump is scaring children across the country to tears. Ms. Garcia told the National Press Club last week that Trump creates fear in children, and that is unforgivable. She said that for the first time in our country's history, and I've talked to these teachers, she said, we have to comfort crying children because they are afraid of their president. The kids who are afraid, according to the NEA president, are girls wearing hijabs, children named Muhammad, Alfredo, and Juanita, as well as transgender children who just want to use the bathroom. Now, Ms. Garcia, you know who's responsible for scaring America's school children. You and your cohorts, your far-left teachers union. You're the ones teaching kids lies about the president and everything else. You're the one actually making them cry. And the thing is, they should cry once they figure out what a rotten education they're getting from you and the NEA. I don't blame them. Equifax recently announced a security breach that could affect 143 million Americans. You need to take steps to get protection. Be among the millions who trust their identity protection to LifeLock. LifeLock uses proprietary technology to detect if your personal information is being used by online identity thieves. And if there's a problem, one of LifeLock's identity restoration agents will work to fix it. They know the steps to take and the calls to make to resolve problems as quickly as possible. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor transactions at all businesses, but rest assured that LifeLock has been helping people come out on the bright side of the identity theft problem for over a decade. Plans start just $9.99 plus applicable taxes. Get 10% off by using the promo code RUSH 800-440-4833 or go to lifelock.com and use the promo code RUSH.
Looking right now at some slow-moving traffic on Hearn Avenue near Milam Street. And those school zone lights are on and the school buses are out. Please use caution when driving around the school zone. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
It is 6:59. Here's your Keel, AccuWeather.com forecast. Mostly sunny and back to kind of hot today. High today in the low 90s. Right now, 71. 1017 FM, 710 Keel, 7 o'clock, Fox News.
Breaking news and trending talk. This is 1017 FM and 710 Keel. KEEL, Shreveport.
Good morning. It's 3 past 7 o'clock. Robert and Erin, 1017 FM, 710 Keel. Erin's got local stuff in a second or two. What you got?
Got a murder in Bossier to tell you about this morning. Also, a Friday night murder in Shreveport. We'll have more on that. And what's the answer to the BRF mess here in town?
Political analyst Scott Hughes just a couple of seconds away. And the KEEL, the WinCash code word is TAPE. TAPE, right?
Yep.
And you could win up to $5,000 right now if you go to the KEEL website, keelnews.com. Fletcher sports, traffic, and weather all coming up this hour, and it's right here on KEEL.
The KEEL Morning Report, now on 1017 FM and 710 KEEL.
Behind-the-scenes dealings continue in the effort to find an answer to how university health should be managed. We asked Administration Commissioner Jay Darden who could step in to help run BRF and run the hospital.
Ochsner is the partner that's being the meetings are being held with right now. That's who BRF asked that we deal with, and Ochsner has agreed to sit down and see if it's something that they believe is financially viable from a business standpoint. Willis Knighton is not a possibility. We've said that repeatedly, and I want to say it again today. That is not a possibility.
BRF has 45 days to come up with a plan. Good news for the El Compadre family today. Matt Parker with that.
After being shot trying to protect his mother during a robbery in July, Juan Zuniga has been released from University Health. His sister and co-manager of El Compadre in Shreveport posted on Facebook that Juan had been transferred to Promise Hospital to begin rehab. Juan was shot twice in the chest during the incident and had to have his right lung removed due to his injuries. From 1017 FM and 710 KEEL, I'm Matt Parker.
Bossier police investigating a shooting that left one man dead. It happened behind the Village Square East townhomes on Village Lane. A man shot Friday night in Shreveport has died from his wounds. Chancell Bradford and another man were shot several times by someone with a high-powered rifle outside a home on East Washington Street. Gas prices are up about 50 cents a gallon since before the storms. We asked Attorney General Jeff Landry if this is price gouging in some cases.
A 50-cent jump in gasoline prices based upon the impact that Hurricane Harvey had on Gulf Coast refineries is probably in no way price gouging.
Sunday afternoon shooting sends one man to the hospital. Eldrick Thomas recovering after being shot in the leg Sunday afternoon. Police say Thomas was shot by suspects driving a black SUV on Bibb Street. Stabbing early today, it happened on Marshall Street near Highland. A man wearing no shirt flagged down a driver. That driver then was stabbed. He did manage to get to the hospital. The search for the suspect is continuing. The median household income in Louisiana down by about 2% in 2016, the largest decrease in the nation, according to census numbers. LSU economist Dr. Lauren Scott says there are definitely signs of optimism for better numbers this year. He says the rate of decline in both Houma and Lafayette has significantly lessened.
For example, over June and July, we were averaging about 20,000 jobs over the previous year. So it looks like there's light at the end of the tunnel for the state.
Scott says Shreveport is one of the metro areas that is still suffering from a recession. President Trump is mocking North Korean leader Kim Jong-un as Rocket Man, but National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster says we ought to probably not laugh too much about it. Trump's advisors say North Korea faces destruction unless it shelves its weapons programs. For the fourth consecutive year, the Saints have started 0-2 as they drop a 36-20 decision to the Patriots. Sean Payton says the lack of a pass rush allowed the Pats to put up 557 total yards.
You have to disrupt the passing game, either pressuring the quarterback or, bumping at the line of scrimmage the eligible receivers. So there was a handful of big plays where he had too much time.
The Saints travel to Carolina this Sunday. Partly cloudy today, the high temp near 92 degrees. Right now, 74. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Nine past 7 o'clock. KEEL traffic. Here's Ruben.
Looking right now at some slow-moving traffic on Hearn Avenue near Milam Street. And those school zone lights are on and the school buses are out. Please use caution when driving around the school zones. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast will have sun and some clouds with a high of 92 today. Mainly clear, low 72 tonight. Partly sunny, high 91 tomorrow. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm Heather Zayer.
Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty, 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. KEEL app's a free download presented by Office Furniture Source, and it sounds awesome. Political analyst Scott Hughes is here. How you been? Haven't seen you in about, maybe 4 or 5 weeks.
Been doing fine. How you been doing?
It's been a busy 4 or 5 weeks.
We live in interesting times.
A lot of hubbub down at City Hall. Last week, the mayor's, I like to say, Miss Ollie's vision for a new and revitalized downtown Shreveport, outright rejection by the Shreveport City Council. What do you think about that? And when I say her vision rejected, am I being overly dramatic?
I wouldn't say you're being overly dramatic. The job of the administration, the job of any government officials is to work to bring economic development. I think we should be pleased that City Hall is trying to do something. Likewise, I think what we saw was the biggest involvement of citizens that I've seen in at least 10 or 20 years at a city hall event. So that can't be bad either. I think what got caught in the middle of this is transparency. When should the citizens know something? What should they be entitled to? And should you have a chance to vet a project before public money is spent?
One of the criticisms was that it all happened in about, 3 or 4 weeks, when in reality, anybody in the media or anybody who is involved in local occurrences knows this had been going on since January or so.
When you see a presentation like we saw with drawings and that type of sophistication, clearly this had been going on for months. And I think that's really, in the end, what got the citizens upset. I really don't think the citizens were against a $100 million, $130 million investment. I think the citizens could actually have had a conversation about a sports arena. We've had that before in this community. What they didn't want to do is on a short term when they felt they weren't being given all the facts.
Do you think, and this is just what I thought about the whole thing, and you saw from a lot of politicians who were blaming the defeat of the mayor's proposal on social media and rampant spreading of misinformation. I got the feeling from the people that I talked to, actual responsible adults, that most everybody understood it was really about borrowing $30 million or more dollars, and most people just didn't want to borrow $30 or more million dollars.
Well, at this point, what's done is done. I would think that before people would criticize, they should go read the Pensacola paper this last Sunday. There was an excellent editorial in the Pensacola paper where the Pensacola writers took to task the mayor of Pensacola for doing the exact same thing, for trying to hide the details. In Pensacola, they praised the county commissioner, our equivalent of the police jury, who was involved in the deal down there, for disclosing the information. And they're having the exact same citizen government conversation in Pensacola, our rivals for this project, than we had. So I don't think there was anything done wrong here, I think, necessarily from the citizen side. I think the citizens wanted to know, if we're going to invest $30 million of public money, where's it going to come from? What's our expectation of return? And can I have a say in us doing that? And they weren't provided any of those three answers.
Scott, let me ask you this, because a lot of people want to know today, and you have some inside info. Is the deal to bring the Pelicans here dead? Is it completely dead? Does it have a slim shot at all?
I don't think it's dead. I think it's on life support, if we want to use medical terms. At this point, the Pelicans, as I appreciate it, had gotten down with the G League team to 2 cities, us and Pensacola. They're still with those 2 cities. The other cities withdrew. Shreveport has not withdrawn. All they took off the table, as I would appreciate it, was the hiring of bond counsel to move the project as proposed forward. I don't believe we've withdrawn from the process. I don't believe Pensacola's withdrawn from the process. And at the end of the day, they're going to have a team. We still have viable options here. We still have the Gold Dome. We still have the Hirsch. We still have CenturyTel. And we still have something else that could come back. All that happened last week was that on a 6-0 vote, the council voted not to move to the next step of that process. I don't believe they pulled out of the process.
Is the corporate realty plan to develop Cross Bayou with that mega retail $139 million, is that deal dead with no Pelicans?
I wouldn't. I'm not talked to corporate realty. Obviously, I work with the Realtor Association, so I'm going to be careful what I say in regards to real estate, but particularly with an out-of-town developer. I would think that deal was probably on severe life support. A big part of that deal was the acquisition of the land and buying of the land. And one of the things I think that got missed in the entire thing is, in a public process, you have what's called eminent domain. And so that never really came up. But if we decide that is a public process, we're going to build a parking garage, we're going to build a stadium, now the government can step in through certain means and take and pay fair value for land. And I think we've seen since the vote, the land deal portion of that is where a lot of the citizens landed. Why did we want to take clear title to what is effectively a contaminated junkyard, where there are already EPA reports saying that maybe some of the worst land in our community? And I think if you don't have the land, you probably don't have the deal.
Does somebody like corporate realty, who's like I said all along, it's the thing that stuck in my head about all of this was, it's their job to make money. This is what they do, to build these things. They're not, and as somebody said to me, 2 or 3 or 5 years down the line, when they're pitching another retail area and they point to their successes, they don't want somebody standing up and saying, oh, what went wrong in Shreveport? They're in this to make money. So my question was all along, what did they see in our community, this area, etc., that all these people in Shreveport that were against this development didn't see? What faith did they have? What did they see about the potential for downtown or the economy that was lost on a lot of folks?
Well, I think what people always see in Shreveport, they see the intersection of 2, maybe 3 major highways. They see an economic center of the architects, that we are the trade capital of this larger area called the architects. And they often see potential that we don't see. But at the same time, I'm not a high finance guy. The best analogy I can give is when the boardwalk came in. When the boardwalk came in, they required a parking garage, $20, $30 million parking garage to go with the development. Bossier City had to acquire land that was a former dump. Those that know the history of Bossier City, that's where the dump had been. And so you see an apples to apples, apples to green apples comparison there. And if you remember the boardwalk, the original developer of the boardwalk didn't make it. The original developer of the boardwalk went into receivership. That property's turned over at least once, maybe twice. I'd have to look at the records. And so the original developer didn't necessarily make it on the property. But there are ways that developers can take these properties. They now own an asset, and that can be leveraged to other things since they own a physical asset. And I think that they were looking at the possibility of this combined sports complex.
You had described, as others had, the Cross Bayou site as contaminated. I can't imagine that corporate realty and or the city, or maybe they did not realize the condition of it. And if so, how does that happen?
Well, from a corporate, I can't speak for corporate realty.
Do you think corporate realty, okay, let's just play an imaginary game if you want, because I do. Do you think corporate realty just took the city's... Does anybody ask, what's the environmental condition of this site? Or the fact that nobody here bothered to mention it? How does that happen?
I would suggest corporate realty has done projects before. They've done projects in downtown dock areas. They've done projects on an old construction sites. They're familiar with what's called brownfields. Brownfields are where you have contaminated land as compared to greenfields, which is clear, clean, open title. And I think deep into this proposal, and that's where some of the people that came out particularly late against this were very nervous, is this would have had the city of Shreveport taking clear title to that land. The city of Shreveport would have been responsible, as I appreciate it, for cleaning that land up, which you can get EPA grants, you can get cleanup grants, but that is a task that no one ever saw a price tag to. And just knowing a little bit about development, the price tag to clean up an old environmental dump under the EPA like that could have been tens of millions of dollars. And that was never disclosed where that money would come from.
Scott, can you hang on? Because I got to ask you about what we voted on for Cross Bayou in '96. And when are we going to get it?
And I want to talk about political, or at least potential political fallout from everything that's happened in the last 30 days. 19 past 7 o'clock, 1017 FM, 710 Keel. Here comes Rapid Ruben.
Keeping an eye on some slow-moving traffic on North Market near North Common Street. And we have some traffic delays on Airline Drive just north of Shed Road in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, accidents, hazards, or closures, give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline, 687 Road.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Very warm today. Sun and some clouds. High 92. Mainly clear. Low 72 tonight. Partly sunny. High 91 tomorrow. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm Heather Zayer.
22 past 7 o'clock, time for sports on KEEL.
Good morning from the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger. This is Tim Fletcher. Dak Prescott had his roughest outing in the NFL. Ezekiel Elliott was held to 8 yards on 9 carries. The Denver Broncos routed Dallas 42-17 Sunday. Trevor Siemian torched the Cowboys for 4 touchdowns to fuel the Broncos' 6th straight win over the Cowboys. Prescott was picked off twice, including an insult to injury 103-yard pick six by Aqib Talib. The Houghton alum tossed a pair of touchdowns that were canceled out by 2 picks. The Saints were blown away by Tom Brady and the Patriots 36-20 in a game that was well in hand by halftime. Brady joined Warren Moon as the only 40-year or older quarterback to throw for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns in a game. He finished with 447 yards and 3 scores, all of those touchdowns in the first quarter. Drew Brees threw 2 touchdowns and accumulated 356 yards. The Saints running back game was non-existent for the second straight time, with just 81 yards on the ground. New Orleans defense is the worst in the league through 2 games, giving up on average 512 yards per outing after the Pats rolled up 555 yards in the Dome Sunday afternoon. And last night, Atlanta looked much sharper than they did in their season-opening escape in Chicago. They blew out Green Bay. Look out for the Dirty Birds again. From the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger, this is Tim Fletcher.
Twenty-four past 7 o'clock, 1017 FM, 710 KEEL. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty, and political analyst Scott Hughes is here.
My blood boils, Scott, when I go back and read Shreveport Proposition number 8. That
1996.
1996. And people say, oh, it was for buying land. No, if you think it was just for buying land, you don't know what you're reading. Let me read it to you. This was on the ballot. Authority to issue not exceeding $5 million of 20-year general obligation bonds of the city for acquiring and or improving lands for a public park. Doesn't say for acquiring land, end of story. It says acquiring land for a public park. When's that park going to open?
Apparently, sometime in my lifetime, the 96 bond issue has been highly controversial. That was a cafeteria bond issue. There were many things on the ballot. I think most everything passed except a zoo proposition, if I remember correctly.
Trashed, yeah.
But yeah, this one's been highly talked about because the way bond language is written, the bond attorneys always give the municipality some flexibility. And so this one was clearly, the intent was we would acquire the land, and then we would prepare the land for a park, if not open a park.
Pardon me just a second. Maybe I'm splitting hairs, but it says acquire land for a park. It doesn't say acquire land and build a park. Am I parsing the words there too closely?
I think that would be open to interpretation. You can interpret the 96 language as Erin just read either way. I mean, clearly it does say buying land. It also says preparing it for a park. And I think the intent, going back to several master plans this city has had, was to have a green space along there.
And that's how it was sold in 96.
That's how the bond issue was sold. And then given what took place after 96, we never have really moved forward with anything. Now, the parish does own land. I mean, we didn't mention that earlier. The parish does own some of the land we're talking about here in the Cross Bayou area. And this was an attempt, I think, the 96 to be able to get title to that land. And that to my knowledge, has never taken place. And those monies have bounced around a lot over the years. And, the city, I think they probably were going to throw those in and call this a park. But I think that's also, citizens don't take lightly to being told something was going to be done, and then 20 years later it's not been done. And I think the other thing that took place here, and you saw it, was that this ripped off an old scab. That's been a political wound for many years with many voters, and it's not been taken care of. And when everything came up, all of a sudden this cross-bayou vote was remembered by those who've been around for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Could this proposal that the mayor was pitching, I mean, they would have obviously included some sort of green space that we all could use and said, here's your park that we promised you.
Well, I'm sure we would have seen that argument, and I'm sure we would have seen lawsuits on behalf of some citizens that would have gone into court and said, this is not a park. A park is generally construed as a place that's open to the public. It's open to the public free of charge. There's generally, we have linear parks in this city. Both of the parkways on the Bossier and the Shreveport side are basically long linear parks. We have Betty, Virginia. We have Mike Woods. We have all these great park facilities. I don't think that you were going to get away with calling this a public park.
28 past 7 o'clock. If you can hang out one more segment, because I still want to talk about political fallout and how everything that's happened in Shreveport over the last, say, 6 or 8 weeks may affect the mayoral race next fall. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL traffic update now. Here's Ruben.
Looking right now at some slow-moving traffic on North Spring Street and East Stoner Avenue, and we have some traffic delays on East Texas Street near Hamilton Road in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, accidents, hazards, or closures, give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast will have sun and some clouds with a high of 92 today. Mainly clear, low 72 tonight. Partly sunny, high 91 tomorrow. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm Heather Zaire.
The power of information. KEEL News now.
Behind-the-scenes dealings are continuing in the effort to find an answer to how university health should be managed. We caught up with Administration Commissioner Jay Darden, who tells us what they're looking at right now.
Our hope is that we're going to be able to bring in another partner. This was the request of BRF. BRF asked the governor to work with them to bring in another partner to manage the hospital, and we're in the process of doing that right now. And during this 45-day period, those discussions will be taking place, and they're starting now.
Ochsner has been mentioned as one of the partners that is a possibility. Bossier police investigating a shooting that left one man dead behind the Village Square East townhomes on Village Lane. An employee of a business in the area heard multiple gunshots around 9 last night and called police. When officers arrived, they found the victim shot dead in the parking lot. Shreveport police, meantime, say a man shot Friday night has died from his wounds. Chancell Bradford and another man were shot multiple times outside a home on East Washington. Police say the two victims were involved in an argument with an unknown person shortly before that shooting. After being shot trying to protect his mom during a robbery in July, Juan Zuniga has been released from University Health. His sister and co-manager of El Compadre posted on Facebook that Juan has been transferred to the Promise Hospital to begin rehab. Juan was shot twice in the chest during the incident, had to have his right lung removed due to his wounds. A Sunday afternoon shooting sends one man to the hospital. Matt Parker with that.
Eldrick Thomas is recovering after being shot in the leg Sunday afternoon. Shreveport police say that Thomas was shot by suspects driving a black SUV in the 2600 block of Bibb Street. Police are asking anyone with information to call Crime Stoppers at 673-7373. From 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, I'm Matt Parker.
A strengthening Hurricane Maria swirling toward the eastern Caribbean. Forecasters warning it will probably be a major storm by the time it passes through the region. He may not have an Emmy, but Donald Trump has had a huge impact on TV's annual awards ceremony. He was the butt of jokes and pointed political commentary. Saturday Night Live, which made a living on political comedy, had its biggest year thanks to its political skits. The LSU Tigers embarrassed 37-7 by Mississippi State. The Tigers were beat at the line of scrimmage. The defense had blown assignments, and LSU also committed 9 penalties. The loss drops LSU to 2-1. Quarterback Danny Etling says he's not giving up on the season and is eager to correct the mistakes.
It's going to start with me, and I'm going to bring a level of intensity and energy to practice that I feel like I haven't been bringing. And maybe I thought that was my role on this team was to sit back and let things kind of happen. But it's time to go, and it's time for me to step up and even be a better leader.
LSU is back in Tiger Stadium Saturday night to host Syracuse. Partly cloudy. We'll see some sunshine today. 92 for the high. Right now, 75. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
It's 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty, Shreveport Security Systems text line, 318-392-1884. Political analyst Scott Hughes is here. Fallout from the last couple of weeks of political controversy in Shreveport. Now, specifically the mayor's race in about a year. Anything at all?
This was a bomb that went off and had collateral damage everywhere.
Tell me.
I think that mayor's office, albeit she's trying hard, she's going to position herself as this is her job. She did her job. I think she and her administration come off very suspect because in the end, they lost the overall vote, and they also probably have lost even more confidence with at least some citizens of Shreveport who already were upset on streets and water and sewage, and now you have this. The other big damage of this would be Mr. Bowman. I think many people were seeing Mr. Bowman as a potential candidate who might run for the mayor's race, which is probably why he decided to take a walk on this vote. At the end, it's very suspect why he walked out.
Told us it was, I had to get to work. I had other responsibilities, and my thought was, wait a second. On one of the literally most important votes in the history of the Shreveport City Council, you're not around.
Well, and apparently he had a limited work engagement because he shows up later that night on the local TV station doing a live explaining his vote. And so I'll take him at his word. We'll see what voters do. But people that watch politics notice when an important vote comes up, and it's called taking a walk in politics. Mm-hmm. And it's believed he took a walk.
I had a friend who is a local political official say this weekend to me that they think that Miss Ollie will be less damaged politically by the fact that it was voted down than she would be if they had started construction, because now in their theory there's nothing substantial, nothing concrete that an opponent can point at and say, stuck with this boondoggle where in a year or so, the theory is, well, she can always say, I had a vision and it was turned down, and there's nothing really to point at and say, we are burdened with this. Thoughts?
Well, and I can agree with that. In a sense, maybe she was saved from, tremendously bad damage. At the same time, the race for mayor is next fall. And so had this passed, or if it still does pass, I mean, Ollie, there's still a chance the Phoenix may rise out of the ashes on this project. And so Ollie and City Hall could still redeem themselves if they can find a way to bring the team here without that public $30 million investment. So that could still happen.
Did they hang their hat too much on that arena, literally telling the NBA, the Benson family, corporate realty, everybody involved, we really don't have a decent place for you guys to play, and unless we build this new arena, it's just not worth it because Shreveport kind of sucks.
Well, and I think that's the big gamble. In the end, it became more about the project than it came about the actual reason we were having the conversation is, should Shreveport be the host site for a G League basketball team, a minor league sports team? It became about this huge project, and I think that's where people, from the mayor's standpoint, it becomes another nick in her armor as these things start mounting up. Now, the flip side for Ollie, I don't think this necessarily changes the landscape around the rest of the race. There wasn't, as we say in politics, a white knight that came riding in to save the day. This was just the average Joe citizen that rose up, and this was political pressure for whatever reason. A lot of it may be things that we won't even ever hear about behind the scenes. Clearly something happened. We believed going in it was a 4-3 vote. Ollie believed going in it was a 4-3 vote. And so something happened to flop at least one council person. And don't think that all three flopped. You really only have to flop one council person in a 4-3 vote. And now you're 3-4 the other way.
And
Smart politics says now run to the citizen side.
You bet.
So something happened that made one of those council members decide, I can't go for this now. And that may have changed political careers.
Scott Hughes, I know you got to get your youngster to Captain Shreve. Tell all the Gators we said hi.
We'll do. It's homecoming week. The Gators are 50 years old this week.
Wow. Congrats.
Wow, I feel I was in high school in that place. I'm going, oh, my goodness.
LSUS is 50 this week, too.
7:39, it's 101.7 FM, 710 Keel traffic. Now, here's Ruben.
Keeping an eye on some slow-moving traffic at the intersection of Uri Drive and Southfield Road. And we're dealing with some traffic delays on Benton Road just north of I-220 in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Very warm today. Sun and some clouds. High 92. Mainly clear. Low 72 tonight. Partly sunny. High 91 tomorrow. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm Heather Zayer.
It is 7:42. It's 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty, Shreveport Security Systems text line, 318-392-1884. So suddenly, you, Erin McCarty, 100% in charge of the LSU athletic program. So you're walking down the hall today, and you see Ed Orgeron in the hall, and you say, Coach, come into my office for a couple of seconds. We need to have it. Or do you? Or do you just say, you know what? Sometimes you lay an egg, Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, that's where I am. I'm still going to be motivational. I'm still going to be.
So you right now, if you're the AD at LSU Baton Rouge, you are still 100% behind
Yeah.
Ed Orgeron.
Oh, yeah.
Publicly, privately,
Yes.
both.
Everywhere, and I'm lifting Coach O up. I'm saying, Coach, I know it's a tough weekend. We're going to come back. We're going to be great. We're going to iron out our problems.
No private
Go
chats,
get him, big guy.
No emails.
Still got confidence in you.
No suggestions
No.
that maybe the wrong guy's at quarterback.
No.
You made me put on purple panties for this.
No, I'm not gonna do any negativity with Coach O yet.
You're not the least bit discouraged.
Oh yeah, I am. But if I'm the AD, me as a fan, oh Robert, that was embarrassing.
Okay, so Erin McCarty, LSU football fan, is
Coach
walking down the hall today.
Coach O.
With the LSU AD.
What happened, Coach? This defense was just atrocious. How are you going to fix it? What are you going to do? You know, we need some more discipline. We were penalized
And he
9
says,
times.
we got a lot of young players. We're just
Coach.
we're kind of inexperienced
Coach,
against this.
This is your 3rd game of the season, Coach. You can't have 9 penalties in an SEC game.
Did I hear the soundbite from Danny Etling? Did I hear that correctly? You don't have to pull it up if you don't want. We beat ourselves.
Yeah, pretty much.
How do you beat yourself at 37-7 when what was it, 17-7 at the half? So it literally was you lost the second half, as you like to say.
Yeah.
You lost the second half 20-0.
Ugh.
Does that sound like you beat yourself?
Oh no, you got a butt whooping. You got a good old Southern nanny butt whooping, and you got it with a switch right there out the fig tree. And those hurt.
You said last week, a week ago, I said to you, the question was, I said, do you think Danny Etling is the quarterback that can lead this team to at least play nose-to-nose with Alabama? And you said, yep, starting to think he's the guy.
I was.
Any doubts, any suspicions? Look, I said off the air a couple of minutes ago, Danny Etling is a transfer. With all due respect to Brandon Harris from Parkway, who was at LSU and is now at North Carolina. Very seldom does a transfer anything, specifically in this case, transfer quarterback, change schools and then become one of the best quarterbacks in the country. The last one Matt pointed out was Russell Wilson, who went to North Carolina State, right? A couple of years of baseball, then went to Wisconsin and played extremely well.
Turned it up, yeah.
The one before that was like Troy Aikman, who was at Oklahoma and bombed out, goes to UCLA and becomes Troy Aikman.
Right.
So do you think Danny Etling is just Troy Aikman waiting to happen?
I'm sorry. Robert, come on.
So if you were going to see, if you were going to see greatness, a guy who took the team by the collar and said, this is my squad, this is my team, I am the leader, and we will win because I will it so. In your mind, that ain't Danny Etling.
No, it's not. And to have 2 players get tossed for targeting, shame on you, coaches. Shame on you for even letting those guys think they could hit people like that and get booted out of a game.
Do you think, given the speed of the game, do you think those were purposeful hits? Do you think those guys are 2, 3, 4 steps away and saying,
no,
I am going to risk my head and his.
No.
I am going to risk my neck and his. I am going to risk my spinal column and his.
They're not purposeful. No, they're not purposeful. But you should never be hitting with the crown. It should be something that you got taught in 8th grade, or younger than that. You don't lead with the crown of your helmet.
So what's next? What's next for LSU?
Syracuse at home this Saturday, and if it's not a double-digit win, doomsday. Doomsday.
What
in
do you
Death
think
Valley.
about all this social media controversy? Literally, it's the common one, and it harkens back to the Les Miles days, and you saw it on Facebook all this weekend. LSU's got the best players. They're just bad coaches.
We have great players. There's no doubt we have great players. We're going to still have a lot of players going to the NFL.
Then what does that say? if you had a bad coach, in your opinion and LSU fans' opinion, if you had the best players with Les Miles and you had to fire him, and now you've got the best players with Ed Orgeron and you lost to Mississippi State, are you laying this loss in the lap of the LSU coaching staff?
It has to be. It has to be.
Because you got the best players.
You have great players. We're going to still have a lot of players picked by the NFL. That means they're great. But they're just not living up to our expectations.
748, it's 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Your money now, traffic and weather update, and sports. Just moments away here on Keel. Good morning, 749. Time for traffic update right now. Here's Rapid Ruben on Keel.
Hearn Avenue at Greenwood Road's dealing with some slow-moving traffic right now. And we have some traffic delays on Shed Road near Swan Lake Road in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, accidents, hazards, or closures, give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Very warm today. Sun and some clouds. High 92. Mainly clear. Low 72 tonight. Partly sunny. High 91 tomorrow. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm Heather Zaire.
Moon Griffon, weekdays from 9 to 11 on 101.7 FM and 710 Keel for breaking news and trending talk.
It is 8 away from 8 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 Keel Sports.
Good morning from the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger. This is Tim Fletcher. Dak Prescott had his roughest outing in the NFL. Ezekiel Elliott was held to 8 yards on 9 carries. The Denver Broncos routed Dallas 42-17 Sunday. Trevor Siemian torched the Cowboys for 4 touchdowns to fuel the Broncos' 6th straight win over the Cowboys. Prescott was picked off twice, including an insult to injury 103-yard pick six by Aqib Talib. The Houghton alum tossed a pair of touchdowns that were canceled out by 2 picks. The Saints were blown away by Tom Brady and the Patriots 36-20 in a game that was well in hand by halftime. Brady joined Warren Moon as the only 40-year or older quarterback to throw for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns in a game. He finished with 447 yards and 3 scores, all of those touchdowns in the first quarter. Drew Brees threw 2 touchdowns and accumulated 356 yards. The Saints running back game was non-existent for the second straight time, with just 81 yards on the ground. New Orleans defense is the worst in the league through 2 games, giving up on average 512 yards per outing after the Pats rolled up 555 yards in the Dome Sunday afternoon. And last night, Atlanta looked much sharper than they did in their season-opening escape in Chicago. They blew out Green Bay. Look out for the Dirty Birds again. From the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger, this is Tim Fletcher.
It is 7:55, 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Robert J. Wright, yay. Erin McCarty, yay. First segment of the 8 o'clock hour, we're going to talk about the governor and Jay Darden, Biomedical Research Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have the soundbite that I requested that you pull?
Mm-hmm.
Because we've had Representative Glover on a bunch of times, and he has made claims.
Yeah.
And I think it's safe to say that in this sound bite, he is the local politician, the local elected official to whom I refer, and I am most intrigued.
Darden is calling him out.
By Mr. Darden's response.
If there were, say, I don't know, theoretically, 1 or 2 politicians from our part of the state who may have thought out loud that there actually was a, to use their words, plot to get our medical school, you reject that outright.
Absolutely. They're grossly misinformed or either intentionally lying to the people of your community.
Grossly misinformed or intentionally lying to the people of your community.
Love to get a little feedback from Representative Glover and or others on that. 756, 101.7 FM, 710. We are efforting to track him down as we speak. 756, Robert J. Wright, Erin McCarty. It's 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Hang on a second, traffic and weather updates and your money now coming up next. But right now, here's Sean Hannity.
Turn up your radio. Here's the Sean Hannity Morning Minute.
Not sure who's doing the hiring over at CNN. We aren't even a year into Donald Trump's presidency, and the network has dealt with at least 3 controversies with their host contributors regarding their comments and actions towards the commander-in-chief alone. They fired comedian Kathy Griffin. You may remember that she posed holding up a severed head of President Trump. And then they lost Reza Aslan after he went on a Twitter tirade calling Trump a piece of... Now we've got their chef. That's right, CNN chef Anthony Bourdain, host of Parts Unknown, telling TMZ he would poison the president if he could. When asked what he would serve if he catered an event with the president, he replies, hemlock. CNN, all part of the alt-left destroy Trump media. That's fair and balanced for you.
Check out the Sean Hannity radio show later today, right here.
Hey, everybody's got a to-do list. Drop everything off, the dry cleaning, pick up some milk. Here's an idea. Let's save hundreds of dollars on car insurance. Now, the good thing is you don't have to drop off anything or pick up anything. All you have to do is go to geico.com, and in 15 minutes, well, you can be saving 15% or more on car insurance. Maybe you need extra money in your pocket. It just may be the most rewarding thing you do today. Now, it's that easy. Save hundreds of dollars on car insurance. Just go to geico.com. Geico.com.
Miles of piping, thousands of elbows, hundreds of valves. In the complex network of piping at your facility, heat loss happens, and you're paying for it. Covering the pipes, restricting heat loss, is the mechanical insulation. Piping insulation saves energy, money, and ultimately greenhouse gas emissions. Creating a solar field isn't the only way to save fossil fuels. For a network of mechanical insulation experts, visit iSaveTeam.org.
1017 FM and 710 KEEL. Get more breaking news and trending talk at KEELnews.com. KEELnews.com.
7:59 traffic update. Here's Ruben on KEEL.
Looking right now at some heavy backed up traffic on I-20 westbound near Spring and Market. That's backed up past Airline Drive right now. And we're still keeping an eye on that major accident on Highway 80 eastbound in Houghton near Forest Hills Boulevard. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Very warm today. Sun and some clouds. High 92. Mainly clear. Low 72 tonight. Partly sunny. High 91 tomorrow. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm Heather Zayer.
Breaking news and trending talk. This is 1017 FM and 710 KEEL. KEEL, Shreveport.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Very warm today. Sun and some clouds. High 92. Mainly clear. Low 72 tonight. Partly sunny. High 91 tomorrow. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm Heather Zayer.
Those speakers are blown. The machines from Play-Doh have never been calibrated.
Put me in aux. I can't hear it.
Headphones during the interview.
He's sitting right there.
Oh, 309? That's not good.
No, that's unacceptable is what the kids call it.
What kids are those?
I don't know. Just some kids out on the street.
Bunch of goddamn kids. Little fucking kiddersons.
Skateboarding badasses for all I know. I don't know.
Do you skateboard?
Huh?
Do you skateboard?
I haven't skateboarded since I was like 14.
You ice skate?
No. But I can walk my happy ass on ice all day long. I just can't skate on it.
That ice the other night was brutally bad.
Oh, when you're out there for
oh my God! Usually it's like walking on the driveway. There's no chance of falling. And I'm out there the other night, and it's like walking on a downhill glacier. It was horrible.
Horrible was trying to do the musical chairs. There's up in the top.
Bailey still has not learned. Get guys. Get 18, 17, 18, 19-year-old guys. Don't get children. You know? It is 8:03. Robert and Erin, 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Erin and local news in just a couple of seconds.
2 fatal shootings, one in Shreveport, one in Bossier. We'll tell you more about that. There's some good news for Juan Zuniga today. And household income in Louisiana, it's going south.
Biomedical Research Foundation. Is there anything they can do that would get John Bell off their that would be agreeable to the governor's office? We will discuss. You know, we talk all the time. Two guys look at the same thing but see two different things.
You bet.
And it always seems to be about the hospital and medical school. Plus Fletcher in sports and traffic and weather, and it's all this hour, and it's right here on Keel.
The Keel Morning Report, now on 101.7 FM and 710 Keel.
Police investigating an early morning stabbing. It happened on Marshall Street near Highland at about 2:30 this morning. A man driving in the area was waved down by a man wearing no shirt. When he pulled over to help, the man stabbed him. The victim is expected to recover. Police are on the hunt for a gunman in Bossier. Matt Parker has that.
Bossier City Police are investigating a shooting that left one man dead behind the Village Square East townhomes on Village Lane. An employee of a business in the area heard multiple gunshots around 9 p.m. Sunday night and called police. When officers arrived on the scene, they found the victim shot dead in a parking lot. Police are still searching for suspects. If you have any information, call Bossier Crime Stoppers at 424-4100. From 101.7 FM and 710 Keel, I'm Matt Parker.
A man shot Friday night in Shreveport has died from his wounds. Chancell Bradford and another man were shot several times by someone with a high-powered rifle outside a home on East Washington. Police say the two victims were involved in an argument with an unknown person shortly before the shooting. Chancell died from his wounds. The other victim expected to survive and make a full recovery. Good news for the El Compadre family today. After being shot trying to protect his mom during a robbery in July, Juan Zuniga has been released from University Health. His sister and co-manager of El Compadre in Shreveport posted on Facebook that Juan has been transferred to the Promise Hospital to begin rehab. Juan was shot twice in the chest during the incident and had to have his right lung removed due to that wound. The median household income in Louisiana down by over 2%, the largest decrease in the nation, according to census numbers. LSU economist Dr. Lauren Scott says this decrease is a result of the struggling oil and gas industry. He says we have 3 metro areas that are in a recession: Houma, Lafayette, and Shreveport.
That previous 20 months, we lost almost 25,000 jobs. So it was a tough period, especially if you were in one of those oil patches.
Speaking of the oil patch, in case you haven't noticed, we're paying about 50 cents more a gallon today than before Hurricane Harvey. Attorney General Jeff Landry telling Keel News it could have been much worse.
If President Trump, through his EPA administrator, would not have enacted some of the policies and granted some of the waivers that we saw put in place, the gasoline jump in price would have been greater than that.
Landry says the hurricane impacted about 30% of consumption across the U.S. Baton Rouge police believe the killings of 2 black men were racially motivated. Police say in both shootings last week, the suspect fired from his car, walked up to the victims as they were lying on the ground, and fired again. Police believe a 23-year-old white man who's in custody on drug charges is the suspect. St. Louis police have arrested dozens of people as protests over the acquittal of a white former police officer charged with killing a black suspect turned from nonviolent demonstrations to vandalism for the third consecutive night. For the fourth consecutive year, the Saints have started 0-2 as they dropped a 36-20 decision to the Patriots. Quarterback Tom Brady scorched the Saints defense for 447 yards and 3 TDs. On offense, the Saints converted just 33% of their third down opportunities.
We've got to get better, and not just on defense. Like I said, we've got to be better offensively. We're not turning the ball over, but we're not creating any turnovers either. Obviously, we didn't do enough good things today to give us a chance.
Cowboys also lost their game last night. The new drama, This Is Us, may have won the hearts of viewers and spawned its share of tissue sales in its rookie season, but it didn't win an Emmy for Best Drama. That honor goes to The Handmaid's Tale. The show was one of the big winners on the night. Partly cloudy, we will have sunshine today, high 92. Right now it's 72. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
If there were
Nine past 8 o'clock, 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. The latest traffic from Monday. Here's Rapid Ruben.
Looking right now at some heavy backed up traffic on I-20 westbound near Spring and Market. It's backed up past Airline Drive right now. And we're still keeping an eye on that major accident on Highway 80 eastbound in Houghton near Forest Hills Boulevard. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast will have sun and some clouds with a high of 92 today. Mainly clear, low 72 tonight. Partly sunny, high 91 tomorrow. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm Heather Zaire.
Good morning. It's 12 past 8 o'clock. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty at 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. Don't forget to download the KEEL app. No, don't download the Deal app. It just wouldn't work. Download the KEEL app. It's presented by Office Furniture Source. State Representative Cedric Glover is here. Good morning, Mr. Cedric. How are you today?
I'm well, guys. How y'all doing?
Well, we had Commissioner of Administration Jay Darden on with us on Friday morning talking about University Health Hospital and Biomedical Research Foundation and all the stuff that is going along with that. And basically what Mr. Darden said, and Erin, I know will correct me if I'm wrong, But basically what she told us was that BRF is well, first of all, that the governor is hoping to work out the situation with BRF. But I think the way that Mr. Darden phrased it was that BRF was willing to go along with the governor. What do you hear about that? What do you know? What's the latest?
Well, I think you guys should remember all the way back until the early part of 2015, the folks from BRF have been trying to pull together a partnership to assist them with the management and operation of this hospital. We all know, and the BRF folks amongst the first to admit, that they aren't in the hospital business. They are in the business of helping to grow and build the Northwest Louisiana economy, to help to broaden and diversify our economy into the life sciences. They saw this hospital situation back in 2013 as a result of the actions of Governor Jindal going in a bad direction in terms of the overall interest of Shreveport and Northwest Louisiana, and they stepped forward to intervene. But they have been attempting to bring competition to this market to help give us a chance to break up the high compensation rates that insurance carriers pay within this market since they began this effort. So in spring of 2015, they came to the table with the folks from Oshner's, had a series of high-level meetings, both in terms of administrators as well as physicians, intended to go forward here. But all of that ended up being scuttled because of political intervention, both in terms of local legislators as well as calls being made from the major healthcare providers in this area, telling the doctors and other folks who were intended to be involved in those discussions that they were not allowed to attend.
Okay, so I'm going to start the question here, and I'm going to let Erin finish it because she has more details in her head. We also brought up with Mr. Darden a point that you had brought up repeatedly, that the financial trouble, if you will, that BRF is having is because of underfunding. And you always talk about 32 cents for the Shreveport hospital compared to every dollar that the New Orleans hospital receives. I mentioned to Mr. Darden the following numbers. I said that University Health in Shreveport, 135,000 plus inpatient days with $241 million in funding. That New Orleans, the University Medical Center, only 72,000 inpatient days, but $410 million in funding. I said, what about those numbers? Are they misleading? And he said, no, they're not misleading. They're wrong. Didn't he say that?
And that's pretty much exactly what he said.
Well, I think Commissioner Darden needs to be able to prove where those numbers are wrong, because what is happening in terms of what's being reported by BRF is that we're accessing that which is in the public domain, what's known. We know that BRF and University Health Hospital is the public safety net hospital that's contracted here. We know that University Medical Center and Children's Hospital is the safety net hospital that is contracted with the state in New Orleans. And these are the known, published, audited numbers for those institutions, along with E.A. Conway over in Monroe. And so that's what's out there. That's the data. And part of the problem with this situation is that both the governor, Commissioner Darden, and others on the other side find themselves in circumstances where they're before people like you all, and they relay this information and attempt to contradict what's already been laid out, but they're never willing to do so in an environment where they can be directly contradicted by the subject matter experts on these particular matters and issues. I'll give you an example. The meeting that took place in Monroe several weeks ago with legislators and the governor included not only the governor's staff, but also personnel from the LSU medical school system. What you did not have in that room was anybody from Biomedical Research Foundation who could be in a position in the midst of those discussions with the governor, with his team, and with the folks from LSU to be able to provide a counter response to the assertions and allegations that are constantly being passed both from the administration and from the LSU Medical School. That's part of the problem, is that we do not ever put ourselves in a position to be all in a room at the same time across from the table where we can manage to be able to exchange information that can be effectively challenged one to the other.
One more question about our Darden interview, and in fact, it sort of involves a soundbite from Friday morning's chat.
If there were, say, I don't know, theoretically, one or two politicians from our part of the state who may have thought out loud that there actually was a, to use their words, plot to get our medical school. You reject that outright.
Absolutely. They're grossly misinformed or either intentionally lying to the people of your community.
Thoughts on that remark?
Yeah.
Well, I think that if there's not a plot to move the LSU Medical School, there has certainly been a decades-long plot or effort or acts of benign neglect that have kept it from being able to effectively grow, elevate, and expand and contribute to this region's economy in the way in which it could and should and has been envisioned by so many of us for so long. My point in particular, we've heard often over the years about the Shreveport model prior to privatization, about how well and effectively the Shreveport Hospital and Medical School managed to be able to generate, just like we're talking about right now and comparing the Shreveport numbers compared to the New Orleans number. Shreveport has always been a net generator of revenue and income for the LSU system, for the hospital system, and for the state of Louisiana as a whole, rather than those dollars being reinvested in helping to grow and elevate and advance the academic medical center within this institution and within this community, and giving us something that is bigger and better and larger and with a higher level and quality of physical surroundings and buildings and structures and equipment and what have you, as well as going towards research and helping us to make this something that even draws in more students and more researchers and more grant dollars and helps to continue to grow this economy in a fashion to which we've seen, say, the University of Alabama at Birmingham, just to the east of us do over the course of 50-plus years that it's been in existence. We've kept this same institution at the same level for almost the entirety of its existence, despite the fact that it has been, from a financial standpoint, extremely successful. Those dollars have simply been diverted and sent over to the general fund of the state of Louisiana to essentially supplement the expenses associated with Baton Rouge, New Orleans, and other parts of the state.
Cedric, can you hang on with us? Because I want to talk about Friday's court hearing that was behind closed doors. We gotta address that. Can you stay with us a minute?
Certainly.
All right.
19 past 7 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Here's traffic.
Looking at a spot of slow-moving traffic on I-220 eastbound near North Market due to construction. And we're still keeping a close eye on that major accident on Highway 80 eastbound in Houghton near Forest Hills Boulevard. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Very warm today. Sun and some clouds. High 92. Mainly clear. Low 72 tonight. Partly sunny. High 91 tomorrow. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm Heather Zayer.
23 past 8 o'clock, 1017 FM 710 Keel, and another quick segment about LSU. Oh, my goodness. Biomedical research. Well, look, you and State Representative Cedric Glover, Mr. Cedric's still here. You have a question.
Yeah, there was a big court hearing behind closed doors, apparently Friday, a federal judge hearing arguments. This is the lawsuit, Cedric, and it's real complicated. Maybe you can boil it down. The lawsuit BRF and Vantage Health Plan filed having to do with Willis Knighton. Can you unravel what this lawsuit is about and how it's kind of connected to this whole issue?
Well, it's really not that complicated. And part of the reason as to why the folks from BRF stepped into this void to offer to manage a hospital is they recognize that Shreveport right now suffers, Northwest Louisiana suffers from being essentially a medical monopoly in that one provider, Willis Knighton, has over 77% market share. And also folks who are in the insurance business who either do business here now or want to come into this market are burdened with having to pay reimbursement rates for any number of common medical procedures that are 3 times higher in Shreveport-Bossier than they do in other parts of the state. So that same thing that you pay $100 for, or your insurance carrier, or you and your insurance carrier would pay $100 for in New Orleans and Alexandria, Lafayette, Baton Rouge, cost you $300 here in Shreveport.
Really?
Because of yes, that's what's at the core of this lawsuit, and it's at the core of why it is that there is an effort to try and ensure that we have a competitive healthcare market in Northwest Louisiana, because a lack of competition drives up costs and drives down quality.
Now, the lawsuit also alleges that Willis Knighton is trying to steal commercially insured patients. Is that accurate?
Well, that goes back to what I mentioned earlier about the Shreveport Medical School and Medical Center Hospital being what's called over the years the Shreveport model, one that I've just been told at some point has sent as much as $1.3 billion to bail out Big Charity in New Orleans back in the 90s. The way in which they managed to make that type of income with the dollars given to them by the state is that, unlike Big Charity in New Orleans, people in this region who have insurance, who pay for their health care from their own pocket, or have Medicare, make the choice to go and get their health care at University Health. You've heard the senator talk about that. More explicitly, you've seen people like Virginia Sheehy, Erin, other high-ranking, wealthy folks within this community who recognize and sought out high-quality health care at University Health Hospital. That results in substantial additional revenues that have poured into that hospital over the years. And as I said earlier, rather than using that to grow the institution, they refer to University of Alabama at Birmingham as a university that ate Birmingham. The LSU Health Center here in Shreveport should be consuming all of our inner core, that whole Kings Highway, Linwood corridor, all of that vacant, dilapidated land should be at this point part of an entire complex that is doing research and housing clinics and growing the economy and providing jobs and generating wealth within this community. But it's not allowed to do so because the way in which we have operated out of Baton Rouge for so many years is that we allow the money, the wealth, the revenue to be generated in Shreveport, and then we ship it down to Baton Rouge and New Orleans.
Mr. Darden.
Just given our current circumstances right now between University Medical Center New Orleans, that safety net hospital, and the one here, we take $200 and some odd million and generate over $400 million. They take $400+ million and end up with less than $100 million in the same private pay that Shreveport generates over $400 million for. That's the $400 million that could end up being diverted to Willis Knighton if they're allowed to step in, move BRF out the way. They managed to end up being the recipient of that additional private pay, and we end up with University Health becoming the Shreveport version of Big Charity, where instead of having private pay people, insured patients going there, it ends up simply being the hospital of last resort for the indigent and the dispossessed.
Mr. Darden told us on Friday that 2 things. One, that the state, i.e. the governor, hoped that they could work out a solution with Biomedical Research Foundation. He said part of that solution, he said to us that part of that solution would not be Willis Knighton. Do you take him at his word?
No, I don't. Because you've already heard the local senator and others here who have talked about the nonprofit that they've already got ready to go, that is willing to step in at a moment's notice, that nobody at the public level, not I as a legislator or other members of this delegation, know anything about. From my perspective, that probably serves as a straw man that gives some layer of anti-trust protection to the governor and the commissioner and the Willis Knighton folks, and allows them to be able to move forward with what their plans apparently have been all along. But that lawsuit that you referenced earlier is at the core of drilling into the details of all of this, the folks who have been at work on all sides of it. And as you have seen in terms of discussions that took place on Friday, you got a group of the folks involved with the BRF side who are more than comfortable with releasing this information to the public, allowing us to be able to hear and know what's been generated so far through these proceedings, so we can have a true, transparent opportunity to see where the truth lies. And you got the folks on the governor's and LSU and Willis Knighton side who want to keep that information withheld and hidden and not allow the public to be able to see and know what the behind-the-scenes backroom machinations in this situation have been to this point. Now, for you all as journalists and people who work in the public interest, I think you would probably want to err on the side of transparency as opposed to continuing to keep this thing cloistered and closed up.
State Representative Cedric Glover, thank you so much for your time this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you guys for your continued interest.
29 past 8 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Local news, Erin standing by. Right now, traffic and weather updates. Here's Ruben.
Looking right now at some slow-moving traffic on Centenary Boulevard and Olive Street. And we have some traffic delays at the intersection of Old Minden Road and Airline Drive in Bossier City. If you have any accidents, hazards, or closures to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Very warm today. Sun and some clouds. High 92. Mainly clear. Low 72 tonight. Partly sunny. High 91 tomorrow. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm Heather Zaire.
The power of information. KEEL News now.
The governor's been working on a plan to keep BRF in control of university health, but some say the state is not fair with the local hospital and want to know why Shreveport gets fewer dollars per patient than New Orleans.
The New Orleans arrangement works as it should with a number of other hospitals being involved in medical training. The numbers that have been put out only deal with Children's Hospital's location. It doesn't include West Jeff, Touro, other hospitals in New Orleans that are also involved in medical training. And when you add those numbers in, they're considerably larger than what information has been put out.
Administration Commissioner Jay Darden. Bossier police investigating a shooting that left one man dead. It happened behind the Village Square East townhomes on Village Lane. Shreveport police investigating a murder. Matt Parker with that.
A man shot Friday night in Shreveport has died from his wounds. Chancel Bradford and another man were shot multiple times by a high-powered rifle outside a home in the 1100 block of East Washington Street. Police say the two victims were involved in an argument with an unknown person shortly before the shooting. Chancel died from his injuries. The other victim is expected to survive and make a full recovery. From 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, I'm Matt Parker.
After being shot trying to protect his mom during a robbery in July, Juan Zuniga has been released from University Health. His sister and co-manager of El Compadre posted on Facebook that Juan's been transferred to the Promise Hospital to begin rehab. Juan was shot twice in the chest during the incident, had to have his right lung removed due to his wounds. President Trump plunging into a foreign policy-focused week that will be anchored by his first address to the UN General Assembly. But before the highly anticipated speech, the president will first tackle the issue of overhauling the UN. You're paying about 50 cents more at the pump today than we were before Hurricane Harvey, Attorney General Jeff Landry.
The hurricane impacted about 30% of that consumption. So immediately 3 million barrels of gasoline was taken off of the market.
Landry says the price hike is a reflection of the impact of the storm on refineries along the Gulf Coast. A strengthening Hurricane Maria swirling toward the eastern Caribbean, with forecasters warning it will probably be a major storm by the time it passes through the already battered Leeward Islands late today. Tell the Truth Monday will not be kind for the LSU Tigers after they were embarrassed 37-7 by Mississippi State. The Tigers were beat at the line of scrimmage, the defense had blown assignments, and LSU also committed 9 penalties. Quarterback Danny Etling is bothered by the high number of penalties.
I feel like we really beat ourselves out there, and they took great advantage of every mistake we made. And but we didn't turn the ball over. We were being smart with it and making sure that we put ourselves in good positions. It just we couldn't overcome the penalties. You can't overcome shooting yourself in the foot.
Next up for the Tigers, back at home against Syracuse. HBO's Big Little Lies walks away with the award for Outstanding Limited Series at the 69th Annual Emmy Awards. Lead actresses of the series, Reese Witherspoon and Nicole Kidman, were joined on stage by the cast and crew to accept the honor.
Thank you. To the people that embrace this, the power of television, it has astounded us that we entered into your living rooms and people talked about it. And as much as the show had the entertainment value, it was also about issues. We are so grateful that you told your friends to watch the show. You can still watch it.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus, again comedy queen of the Emmys. She won her 6th straight Emmy as star of Veep, in which she plays a clueless politician. Partly cloudy today with a high temp close to about 92 degrees, right now 72. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Uh, 836 1017 FM 710 KEEL. Robert and Erin, just a couple of seconds ago, it was sort of awesome in a bad way. which doesn't make any sense.
Huh?
So Erin was sitting there, and she's looking at the new college football rankings, and she just kind of went,
LSU plummets in the polls.
LSU falls. She says, "Oh my God, this is horrible." I said, "What's the matter?" She says, "LSU falls from number 12
to 25
to number 25." Let me
like
ask you.
Enron stock.
Look at me right here. Look me in the eyes. Look at me and tell me that you seriously think that after watching them this weekend, you looking?
I am.
Say with a pure heart and honest.
They're not the 12th best team in the country.
Tell me you think they're the 25th best team. That sums it up. 8:39, it's 101.7 FM, 710 Keel traffic update coming up right now. Here's Ruben on Keel.
The intersection at Jewella Avenue and Greenwood Road's dealing with some slow-moving traffic right now. And we have some traffic delays on East Texas Street near Traffic Street in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, accidents, hazards, or closures, give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Very warm today. Sun and some clouds. High 92. Mainly clear. Low 72 tonight. Partly sunny. High 91 tomorrow. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm Heather Zayer.
Hey, Rob. .841, it's 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty. Okay, so walk me through the process of what happened that it ended up that tell everybody, Matt, grab the mic a sec, and tell everybody what happened at the Mudbugs game on Friday night.
Oh, your deal. So you want that what actually happened, or all the behind the scenes
we'll get to
dealings?
The behind the scenes. Basically, I've reached a point in my life where I'm starting to get these lifetime achievement awards.
Basically, you've been around so long, everywhere wants to honor you. So during the Mudbugs game, during the the second period,
second intermission,
they set you up. They had you come out. We're going to give Musket a jersey for being here. Since
you didn't know anything was going on?
Let me tell you what happened. Okay, so
I love it.
So it ended up.
I wish I could have been there.
That they had this ceremony for me during second intermission that took me totally by surprise and gave me, it literally was, you've been the PA announcer for almost every Mudbugs game there's ever been, going back to 1997, and this is our pat on the back, and they gave me a jersey, and it was totally awesome. So here's what happens. So the young lady's name is Bailey.
Okay.
And she is the game ops manager. She's in charge of all the stuff that goes on during the game. And during the first intermission, Jay Watley, who works there also, does the games with me. He comes down and he says, damn, Bailey, man, you got to help me with something. I mean, he's complaining. I said, what's the problem? He said, well, Bailey throws, during second intermission, she wants to do this last second, stupid, barely thrown together, disorganized jersey presentation for Muskie, i.e. Scott Musket, the general manager.
Yeah.
And he mentions like it's the booster club or something, wants to give him this jersey, and they want me to do it, and she didn't tell me what to say. Will you come out and help me with it?
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, I'll do that.
Sure, whatever.
So we get ready to come down for second intermission, and he comes into my booth, the PA announcer's booth, and he's got this jersey. And he's still complaining. He says, "Oh man, this is just such.
He's good.
This is such a pain in the ass. I can't. This is. Thank God you're going to come out and help me with this." And I said, "It's no problem."
Right.
So meanwhile, Muskie is standing in the penalty box to get his jersey that I'm going to present to him,
Right.
that Jay has under his arm.
Mm-hmm.
So Jay and I go out on the ice, and Jay introduces me, and I start in. Basically with what we talked about with Scott Musket on the radio last week, that this guy he carries Mudbugs hockey on his back. He's been with the team since its inception. He loves the game. He loves Shreveport, et cetera, et cetera. And at that point, I look over, and I see standing on the ice my brother Hal.
What's he doing here?
And I see standing on the ice next to my brother Hal his wife, Susie.
Mm-hmm.
And I see standing on the ice next to my brother Hal and his wife, Susie, my nephew Hal and my nephew Brad and Hal's wife, Ashley.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, I see all these people I know. But it doesn't dawn on me yet what's going on, because my first thought was, oh, there's my... I don't know if you're like this. When I see something that doesn't make sense, I reject it psychologically.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah.
So after I rejected it initially, like, there's my brother Hal. No, it's a hockey game.
Right.
He can't be standing on the ice. And I keep talking about Muskie, how awesome he is.
Yeah.
At that point, I look over and I see and I think to myself, oh, there's my brother Hal.
There's your buddy Tommy.
They must love Muskie too.
Yeah. They're here to celebrate Muskie.
And he takes the mic and goes, "No, it's not about me. This is about you."
Ooh.
And he talked about that I'd been with the team since 1997.
Wow.
And Jay said, I mean, it was awesome. And they gave me the jersey, and people gave me a standing ovation.
Oh, my.
And it was absolutely amazing.
That is so cool.
And I could never thank the Mudbugs organization, from Tommy Scott and Muskie and Scott Gold, just everybody associated with Bailey, who put it all together, with Watley. God, I gotta give him a hug when he comes
Watley
in.
called me Friday.
Okay, you tell me how all this with
And I'm so sorry I couldn't be there. I had another function.
Yeah, you had drinking and dice. I had a previous engagement. I had to go play bunco.
I had to go get hammered.
So explain to me how how did all this get put together? Because nobody at the Mudbugs has everybody in my family's phone number.
Well, here's how that happened. Here's what had happened.
Well, sort of, but I'll let you tell your part of it.
Jay called me Friday and said, "Do I have your brother's numbers?" And I said, "Yeah, I have. I know I have Hal. I wasn't sure if I had Bill.
Yeah.
And I had your nephew's numbers." And I texted him the numbers that I had, and I said, "Here, should be able to give you a good start." And I may have texted him Tommy's number too. And he told me what was going on. And he said, "Of course, you're invited as well." And I'm like, "Ooh."
I have to get drunk and throw dice.
I had a previous RSVP type deal. So
What
I was
it?
like,
get drunk,
get hammered,
throw dice.
But I would have been there. But apparently Jay called your brother and called your nephews and got it all hooked up.
I never saw it coming.
Well, here was the fun part about the numbers you gave him. Only one of them worked.
Oh no!
I forget who we got a hold of, but someone's like, I got everybody else's number. I'll take care of it.
Oh,
so,
good.
It was when I said, and everybody said, "Well, you had to know, right?" I said, "No, I had no idea." I mean, they were sitting in the stands, and I never saw them sitting in the stands.
Never saw them until they were on the ice.
I didn't see them in the kind of the tunnel that is behind the announcer's booth where I sit.
Yeah.
No. I didn't see. I didn't sense. I saw nothing. It was as awesome and unexpected a surprise.
Very cool.
As I have ever gotten.
Have you fallen on your butt yet at Hearst this go round?
I've never fallen ever.
Never.
The closest I ever came to falling on the... No, people say, "Are you afraid of falling down?" Yes, which is why I've never fallen down.
Okay.
And most of the time, when you go out on the ice, almost invariably, they've been skating on. I'm not going out on smooth ice.
Right.
Recently, Zambonied ice. They've been skating, so it's all kind of cut up. It's like walking
chunked up.
Yeah,
right.
it's all like walking on your driveway. I mean,
Okay.
there's plenty of traction. But the only time, there's a young lady named Charlie Dew, and she and her husband Levi just had their first baby. Well, Charlie has been with the Mudbugs in one thing, like going back to when she was a kid, and was a rink rat.
Oh, my.
Back in the late 90s.
Yeah.
And what they do is they're the ones that skate out and get everything ready for the games during intermission.
Okay.
And she took the goal pipes and the goal off the moorings one night and was pushing them off, and she had her head down and wasn't looking where she was pushing the goal with the pipes that are, I mean, it's heavy, but you're pushing it on ice. And my back was to her, and she had her head down, and she pushed the pipe, the goal, into square between my shoulder blades.
Oh, yikes.
And I started to spin around on the ice at center ice. And I'm thinking, you are so
Oh, you're going down.
going to bust your ass.
Yeah, this is it.
And I literally did 3 revolutions and stopped upright in the same position I started.
Wow.
And I thought, that was a miracle.
That is amazing. And you don't even ice skate, do you?
No, nobody smart would.
Wow.
It's 849, 1017 FM, 710 Keel. Were you waving at something, or is it time to go to traffic?
No, it's time to go to traffic.
Traffic update right now. Here's Ruben.
The intersection at Duella Avenue and Greenwood Road's dealing with some slow-moving traffic right now. And we have some traffic delays on East Texas Street near Traffic Street in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, accidents, hazards, or closures, give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline, 687-ROAD.
High today, low 90s, right now 73. High today, low 90s, right now 73.
Chinka with your money now. Stocks opening moderately higher. The Dow Industrial's up and
It is 8 before 9 o'clock. Time for Keel Sports. Here's Tim.
Good morning from the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger. This is Tim Fletcher. Dak Prescott had his roughest outing in the NFL. Ezekiel Elliott was held to 8 yards on 9 carries. And the Denver Broncos routed Dallas 42-17 Sunday. Trevor Siemian torched the Cowboys for 4 touchdowns to fuel the Broncos' 6th straight win over the Cowboys. Prescott was picked off twice, including an insult to injury 103-yard pick six by Aqib Talib. The Houghton alum tossed a pair of touchdowns that were canceled out by 2 picks. The Saints were blown away by Tom Brady and the Patriots 36-20 in a game that was well in hand by halftime. Brady joined Warren Moon as the only 40-year or older quarterback to throw for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns in a game. He finished with 447 yards and 3 scores All of those touchdowns in the first quarter. Drew Brees threw 2 touchdowns and accumulated 356 yards. The Saints running back game was non-existent for the second straight time with just 81 yards on the ground. New Orleans defense is the worst in the league through 2 games, giving up on average 512 yards per outing after the Pats rolled up 555 yards in the Dome Sunday afternoon. And last night, Atlanta looked much sharper than they did in their season-opening escape in Chicago. They blew out Green Bay. Look out for the Dirty Birds again. From the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger, this is Tim Fletcher.
.855, 1017 FM, 710 KEEL. Shreveport Security Systems text line 318-392-1884.
Got to say happy birthday this morning to LSU Shreveport. They're having a big ceremony at 11 o'clock, the campus mall. F. King Alexander will be there. Larry Clark, the mayors of Shreveport and Bossier. It's going to be a big celebration. Can you believe LSUS is 50?
All these people from all over the state, all these big LSU bigwigs who are coming in. So basically, it's all the people that are keeping it small. Thanks for showing up.
That's not... Robert, you're such a Debbie Downer.
It's 856, 1017 FM, 710 KEEL. Kim Commando time. Back tomorrow morning, 6 till 9. Bailing out just in time. Here's Commando on KEEL.
After learning that Equifax allowed the data of 143 million Americans to get stolen right under its nose, and then learning that the top Equifax bosses knew but rushed to sell their Equifax stock before disclosing the theft, it's hard to imagine this story could get any worse. But it has. Kim Commando with your Monday Consumer Tech Update. In March of this year, Equifax learned that its web portal set up to handle disputes and offer credit monitoring services was loaded with vulnerabilities. A security company actually provided Equifax the software patch to fix the vulnerabilities once again in March. The hack was completely preventable. Equifax management had more than 2 months to take the precautions that would have protected half of the American adult population, but it didn't. There's a point in the law where an accident or even negligence is so heinous that it rises to a criminal offense. This may very well be one of them. Get all the tech news updated all the time at news.commando.com. That's KOMANDO. If you have a small business, you know that customers are your lifeline. And keeping your ever-growing list of customer names, addresses, messages, and invoices organized can be a nightmare. So let me introduce you to Zoho and its amazing CRM tool. CRM stands for Customer Relationship Manager. Imagine every customer detail, a complete history of every phone call, email, order, and proposal. Zoho can even tell you the best time to call or email. Turn cold leads into interested prospects and prospects into paying customers. Zoho automates follow-up emails and customer payment reminders. All of your contacts and leads in one place where you can keep track of the entire sales process, leaving you more time to run your business and close more deals. Start today. Visit ZohoCRM.com. That's ZohoCRM.com. Go now and get 10 users in your company free. That's ZohoCRM.com.
They may not be your ordinary political pundits, but these days, that's a good thing. These mamas make sense. Terry Netterville and Denise Arthur. Listen to Mama on American Ground Radio. Weeknights from 6 to 7 p.m. Right here on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. And streaming live at KEELnews.com.
A major accident still has things backed up on Highway 80 eastbound near Forest Hills Boulevard. And we have reports of another major accident on East Washington Street and Uri Drive. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Very warm today. Sun and some clouds. High 92. Mainly clear. Low 72 tonight. Partly sunny. High 91 tomorrow. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm Heather Zayer.
Right now, 74 degrees. It's 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Like I said, Robert J. Wright, Erin McCarty back tomorrow morning, 6 to 9. Fox News up next. Then Moon Griffon here on KEEL.
Breaking news and trending talk. This